Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, the weekend edition. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Let's take a look at this forecast because it is going to be a brutally cold one. So here we have our surface map as of 5 p.m. and as you can see, our area low pressure that produced moderate snow for northeastern Pennsylvania through New York City and into Connecticut, and rain, surprisingly, for Philadelphia and southern New Jersey, is now in the Gulf of Maine and rapidly intensifying. That low pressure system combined with an Arctic high pressure system that is over the Canadian plains and moving into the northern plains is going to produce some very cold conditions throughout the northern Atlantic. The good news is that for the most part through this weekend, most locations will remain dry with the exception of a few snow showers. But the main story is clearly going to be the very cold temperatures. How cold are these temperatures? Well, let's take a look at the latest observations as of 5 p.m. These temperatures are below zero. Where? Northern plains. Where are they going? They're heading towards us. The northern Atlantic is going to be in for probably the coldest weekend that we've seen so far this winter and probably will see all of winter. Temperatures for highs on Saturday and Sunday will be in the upper teens to lower 20s. And that doesn't factor in the winds that will create wind chills anywhere around 2-3 degrees. How about at night? Well, it's not going to get much better. How would you like temperatures below zero? We're not talking below freezing, we're talking below zero. With temperatures basically around -5 to 5 degrees for a low, even along the coast. So we are clearly dealing with some true Arctic air for the northern Atlantic this weekend. So if you have to go outdoors, please bundle up, stay safe, because this type of air mass can create frostbite very easily for many people out there throughout the region. So just be careful. And also with this type of cold air, snow showers that move through the region will have a very, very high snow ratio content. How high? Anywhere from 30 to 1 to even 35 to 1. This is clearly some very cold, dry air. And if any of these disturbances happen to pick up some moisture from the Great Lakes and move across the northern Atlantic, especially northeastern Pennsylvania, the Hudson Valley, even as far east as New York City, you could end up being in a rather intense snow squall. Much like this afternoon, one snow squall produced near whiteout conditions and an inch of snow within a half-hour period. So we're definitely going to have to keep an eye out for that. But for the most part, the main story is going to be the cold temperatures. Of course, there is one other factor, and that is the potential for a major winter storm for the middle of this week. Is it all snow? Well, let's take a look at the European model guidance at 500 millibars. This is the European model guidance as of Wednesday morning from the Penn State E-Wall. And most people will look at this and say, wow, there's a very intense storm over the southeast coast, and there's obviously Arctic air in place over the northern Atlantic. Clearly, we are dealing with a major snowstorm. Wait, there are several problems with this upper level pattern that would suggest that, well, this isn't exactly going to be that easy of a storm to forecast for one, and number two, it won't exactly be all snow. One factor, first of all, is the ridge over the west coast. Not a good ridge axis for a winter storm, especially one that's going to stay east of the coastal plain. And the reason why is because the ridge axis is more along the west coast rather than over the Rockies. And that's important because that means that the trough axis is further to the west and rather broad. Other issues is that there are just a ton of disturbances in this pattern, which not only is going to wreak havoc with the model guidance overall, but also could force the storm to move a little bit faster than forecasted currently. And of course, we have the other factor where the negative NAO is an east-based negative NAO, not a true west-based negative NAO, and that makes a huge difference because that means the high pressure system that's over New England will eventually slide east off the coast. So when we look at the surface map at this same time period, you can clearly see an intensifying area low pressure over North Carolina, but you can also see high pressure moving off the New England coast. and that means an easterly wind. Now, clearly, because of the cold air in place, most precipitation will start off as snow and it could be heavy at times. But if this setup actually transpires with a high pressure system moving off the New England coast and a low pressure system over North Carolina intensifying, eventually that precipitation is going to change over to a mix of sleet and rain. How far inland? I have no clue yet. We really don't have a lot of details on this storm just yet. Could it end up being an all snow event? If a lot of things change in the atmosphere from what I just showed at 500 millibars, yes. If the negative NAO actually ends up being west based, yes. If the ridge axis ends up being more over the Rockies, yes. It would end up being a much snowier and more impressive winter storm. But even if it doesn't do all that, still this storm will have significant impacts Tuesday night through Wednesday on a variety of levels, everywhere from the threat of coastal flooding to heavy snow followed by heavy rain, creating flash flooding in urban locations, ice, of course, and over the interior, very, very heavy snow. So we're clearly going to have to keep an eye on this storm and see how it evolves. The point I'm trying to make is don't get hysterical about this storm just yet. Keep it in the back of your mind. Don't change your plans, but just know that the middle of this week is going to be very stormy for the northern Atlantic. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA weather as your weather source for the northern Atlantic. Have an excellent and safe weekend, and go Jets. I hope they win. Have a great weekend.